My parents were born and raised in Cedar City, but they'd moved all over the place, but they eventually decided to move back south here. And I was about 10 years old, it was 1982. St. George was a tiny little town, maybe, less than 10,000 people, like one stoplight in town, one grocery store, so there just was not much going on. And especially in the way of climbing, a few routes in Zion National Park, the Snow Canyon State Park had been developed, and then toward the late 80s, people started noticing all the limestone in the hills and the Virgin River Gorge. And so when I started climbing, officially with ropes, my first year of college, before that, I would just run around the desert with my brothers and friends and try to climb to the top of stuff. And luckily, none of us died before we learned how to do it safely with ropes. But there wasn't that much to do. There's just like so few routes, or maybe 4 crags that had been developed. So if I wanted to climb something, you pretty much just had to put the bolts in and do it myself if I saw something inspiring. So luckily I had some good mentors in Randy Levitt and Jorge Visser, and learned how to bolt, and started doing it about a year into my climbing. I'd been climbing, for about a year when I put up my first route, and waited a few years before I could afford a drill, and bought my first drill, and then went gangbusters on it about the mid-90s. Started putting up a lot of routes, and then immediately noticed the need to rebolt those routes that I put up, because I didn't really know what I was doing. Soft sandstone, Chaucy limestone, like a young kid, and things were degrading quickly. So, a lot of times when developers first put routes up, they're not using the best materials, right? It's not made to be used for the long haul, and it's kind of on the cheap, and a lot of times you don't know if the bolt placements you're putting in are the right placements anyway. So it takes a kind of a proving period of assessing whether or not those placements were correct, and over time it kind of consensus builds. We need to move this bolt and that bolt, and this is ground fall, that's a ledge splat, so this needs to be corrected. So we've got a lot of ancient hardware that needs to be updated, so just kind of continuously doing that. Recently here in the Hurricane Cave and Green Valley Gap, and we've got proposals to do some rebolting in Cougar Cliffs and Black Rocks, which are within Snow Canyon State Park's boundaries. And a lot of these areas that we are rebolting, we have personal connections to them. Myself and other board members have maybe put up these routes, and we go back and we visit these places, we put more routes in, and we see the older routes being used and get the feedback. So I haven't kept track, but I would say it's in the hundreds. And rebolted, same, 500, 600, something like that. So grateful for the ASCA. Yeah, they've been providing us with hardware for years now, and not only hardware, but the best hardware, right? Like the stuff we would want to buy. Desert regions like ours, a little different than a lot of other areas that people come from. Vegetation is definitely more fragile. Soil is more fragile. There's this stuff called cryptogamic soil. It's like living soil. It's fungus and algae that works symbiotically to fix nitrogen to the soil to allow desert plants to grow, and it keeps the soil in place. So when the wind blows, it doesn't all just blow away and become a dust bowl. So definitely areas, especially bouldering areas like Mose Valley, it's important not to wander too much and disturb the soil. The plants that you trample, they're kind of delicate and fragile, and they don't just pop back up like areas in the Northeast where after rain, things just pop right up again. So definitely want to be a little more concerned about staying on trail and not wandering too much, disturbing the soils. It's a pretty fragile ecosystem here. We want to try to preserve it as best we can, be good stewards and good representatives of our community so we can ensure future access. Your memberships are greatly valued, and really appreciate everybody's support. And we look to be doing this indefinitely and keeping our areas open and safe, and just super psyched.